Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, hope you guys are all doing well and got the much needed energy boost to kickstart your day. But if you didn't, at your tables there should be a Bissy energy drink. It's delicious, all natural, plant-based, using naturally sourced coconut from Nigeria. Did I mention it's delicious? I think some people sense there's going to be an ad coming. But... Well, let's get started, shall we? My name is Zachary Jide Nwizo, and I'm excited to share with you the journey of creating a social enterprise behind Bissy Energy. My co-founder, James, and I have spent the past year developing our brand and finding new markets for Nigerian smallholder farmers to be able to export their goods at a premium price. The idea first came to me after reading an old family book about my great-grandfather. His work as a traditional chief in Onitsha, Nigeria, was second nature, but his time spent in construction and trading agricultural products along the Niger Delta region meant everything to him and the livelihood of my family. That said, we are incredibly grateful and blessed to have the opportunity to share our story with you. Meet Abubakar Adejumo. Trek far enough on the outer boundaries of Akuku village in Osun State, Nigeria, and you'll step foot onto this gentleman's farm. Abubakar takes his backbreaking work very seriously. He has to. His seasonal harvest supports the livelihood of 15 permanent workers. During peak harvest, he relies on an additional 10 temporary workers. Abubakar has been running operations for his 10-acre coconut farm for almost 3 years now. Following the passing of his late father, he was entrusted to keep the 80-year-old farm alive, and eventually he too will pass down the keys to the kingdom to his oldest child. On my recent visit 2 weeks ago, I told Abubakar that my goal is to ensure that when that day comes, the farm, his family, and the families of the workers that he supports will be much better off than when he first received the farm. He currently sells his cola supply to local marketers for $2 per kilogram. For comparison, cola nut is flipped and sold internationally for as much as $50 per kilogram. By working with us, he'll soon be able to sell his fair trade certified cola nut internationally at a floor price of $6 per kilogram. That's a 200% premium. When I first learned of how lowly priced Nigerian grown agricultural products were trading for, both locally and internationally, I wondered why there weren't better systems in place to support a premium on export. Globally, cola nut is a $2.6 billion raw commodity market. Nigeria alone is responsible for over 50% of global production for cola nut. With production output that high, you would think Nigeria would be enriched with export opportunities to developed markets. Markets such as the US, Canada, UK, that turn out large volume of food and beverage products to customers of high purchasing power. However, it's quite the contrary. Take, for example, cashews, a cash crop that we all love and that isn't commercially grown in the US. Cashews consistently rank as the most exported agricultural product for Nigeria, yet they export to the US far less than European and Asian countries. Oh, sorry guys, completely forgot to click the slides. Nigeria currently ranks as the 6th largest producer of cashew nuts in the world, with an average production capacity of 120,000 metric tons annually. The export value of cashew nuts was the highest among all agricultural products exported in 2018, with the top export destinations of Nigerian cashew nuts sold to Asian countries such as Vietnam and India. Nigerian exports should be thriving. However, this is not the case at all. To my surprise, after chatting with a top cashew exporter in Lagos, many of the countries will buy at a below local Nigerian market rate. The lack of value add to agricultural goods exported has resulted in a significant loss in earnings to the country. According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, over the last 2 decades, Nigeria's value added per capita in agriculture has been less than 1% annually. Developed countries in the West that can afford to import at a premium rate are failing Nigerian farmers and exporters. Even with the African Growth and Opportunity Act and mutual free trade agreement between the U.S. and sub-Saharan countries for commercial and agricultural goods, the benefits of making an agricultural investment can outweigh the risk. Sure, Nigeria has its challenges, whether that be occasional gridlock at the major ports or poor distribution networks to transport produce from the major food belts. But that doesn't mean the world should turn its back on one of the developing countries that is most in need of our support. With almost 40% arable land ready for cultivation, Nigeria has a competitive advantage in the world. To help put that in perspective, Nigeria is over twice the size of California. To shift the focus from the export of oil reserves to agriculture, we must find innovative ways to provide sale channels for their crops. Agriculture makes up over 25% of the GDP contribution to the country. Overall, analysis by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council estimates that the country has the potential to generate over $40 billion from export of agricultural goods. When I visit Nigeria, I see a lot of hope. There is promise in their hustle, and I find motivation in their spirit. Our goal with BISI has been holistic from the beginning. We incorporate as a benefits corporation and committed ourselves to creating social equity through the sale of sustainably packaged, delicious, plant-based products that are made from ethically sourced kola nut. There is a famous Nigerian proverb that I'm reminded of daily when I chat about BISI. He who brings kola brings life. If all life is made of energy, then we have much life to give. At this point, you might ask, what even is kola nut, and why do I care so much about it? Kola nut is a fruit of the kola tree, a genus of trees that are native to the tropical rainforest of West Africa. The caffeine-containing fruit of the tree has been conventionally used as a flavoring ingredient in beverages and is the origin of the term cola. We are all very familiar with the most famous soft drink beverage, Coca-Cola, that first introduced natural kola nut to the world over 100 years ago. They soon switched to cheaper artificial ingredients and flavorings, leaving West Africa behind in their trail as they scaled. But reach deep into Nigerian culture and you'll discover people have long gathered for centuries to consume kola nut. To awaken the mind, perform extraordinary feats under gruesome conditions. And most culturally significant of all, to exchange blessings amongst each other and for their ancestors. It has served as an important article of internal trade in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, and are common sites in the markets, cities, and villages. Of the 3 largest tribes in Nigeria, the Igbo, my family's tribe, see kola nut as a divine blessing. They believe the kola tree was the first tree on earth, and therefore, its fruit being the first to grow. In a general sense, the kola nut in Igbo land constitutes a remarkable social symbol for hospitality, peace, and goodwill. In the UK, you're often greeted with tea when you visit someone's home. And in Southeast Nigeria, you can expect to receive a kola nut as a welcoming gift. This past March, we partnered with the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria, a federally mandated research institute that manages a co-op of over 1,000 farmers in a 3-state region. We have gathered a select group of smallholder kola nut farmers to source from that will comply with fair trade standards and practices. By supporting our farmers with U.S. certifications like Fair Trade, we secure a channel for them to sell their supply at a premium price, further limiting any risk to price volatility. This in turn provides them with the opportunity to hire more employees and not rely on the unethical practice of child labor. We will establish a grading system for kola nut supply that encourages organic farming practices and prohibits the use of pesticides. Fair trade certification presents a monumental opportunity for the growth and global recognition of Nigeria's agricultural sector. Not only do we plan to be the first to certify kola nut globally as a fair trade ingredient, but we will also be the first fair trade certified operators in Nigeria. Moving forward, our commitment to fair trade will empower Abubakar and the 6 other farmers we have partnered with to see a 3 to 5 times return on their supply sold to BISI. Our work in Nigeria means a lot to the partners we work with. 2 weeks ago, I was warmly met by the chairman of the Kola Nut Association of Osun State and his supporting council. Speaking on behalf of the chairman, the secretary told me, "It's as if you heard our call." Over the past 2 decades, kola nut consumption in Nigeria has declined drastically. The younger generations are not following the same social and ceremonial traditions as their elders. With consumption so low, farmers have turned to other crops to generate a steady income. In the 1980s, Nigeria was responsible for 3/4 of global kola nut production, producing over 154,000 metric tons of kola nut per year. Since then, over the last 40 years, production has dropped more than 25% to around 116,000 metric tons produced annually. The marketers working within the association have fallen on hard times, since they heavily rely on consistent local consumption. It is gratifying to learn that they also want to formally partner with us. Of all the kola nut produced in Nigeria, only 10% is currently exported. They see BISI as a new and trusting way to market and sell their locally grown kola nut to the world. Success to us is bringing this enterprise full circle. We are currently manufacturing our product in South Korea and exploring a distributor partnership with our co-packer to sell BISI all across Southeast Asia. In 3 months, we'll be manufacturing our larger carbonated drinks and extract powder in the US, and we'll be selling in 4 months. As we develop out our product line, we strive to vertically integrate our supply chain in Nigeria. We won't slow down until we're selling BISI all across the larger West Africa. The agricultural revolution for Nigeria has begun. There is a transformation brewing in food, transparent processing, and sustainable packaging. Multinational food processing companies are embracing backward integration by either establishing their own commercial farms or empowering small farmers through outgrower programs. We want to join and eventually lead this movement. Ethical sourcing, fair wage compensation, and environmental stewardship are among some of the more important modules that make up the core of our brand DNA and social mission. BISI proves that there is no trade-off necessary between what's good for you and what's good for the world. My passion for supporting Nigeria's growth is deep-seated. I was taught that champions carry the conviction that they're the best in the world at what they do. I fundamentally believe that I hold a unique position given my story, my family background, my education, my extremely talented co-founder, to be able to help solve Nigeria's challenges and champion for a brighter future. And I carry that responsibility with dignity. If you're interested in supporting us in the BISI mission, please don't hesitate to approach us during the conference. We'll be pleased to meet you. We actually have BISI at every table, and right now we're running a Kickstarter, so we can provide you with more information, and there should be little informational sheets that have a QR code. So it's just as easy as opening up your camera app and then just hovering it over the QR code, and it'll take you directly to our page for the Kickstarter. We definitely appreciate your support. Our farmers and the growth of our social enterprise appreciate it as well. Thank you, everyone, and let's get busy.